This is Janjo, and I'm building a deck, yeah! Hey everyone, this is Jesse from the Janjo Zone, and in this video, I'll be showcasing you my Fire Princess 2003 Android format deck. This may be in a little different style. I'm already showing you the deck, so let me know if you like this kind of style more than my other one where I kind of build the deck piece by piece and explain to you everything. I'm still going to do that, but I'm just going to show the deck so I don't have to spend my time typing the deck. So Android format is a very interesting format. It's one that not many people play, and that's because, well, Yada format is the much more popular one. That is the format that involved the 2003 Yu-Gi-Oh! World Championship. It really was the format that encompassed the entire year, as I talk about in my 2003 Android Yada history video. But Android format is very interesting in terms of its card pull and decks. I feel like there's a lot that is it's really untapped. Out of all the decks I wanted to showcase, there's still some I like to show. I like to do more Android format, and later, let me know what kind of Android format stuff you'd like to see. I wanted to showcase a deck I actually made about a year ago when I entered an Android format tournament, an online tournament, and I know a lot of builds will probably end up being some sort of beatdown deck. So I wanted to go with a different kind of burn deck, a sort of burn deck that you don't see in other formats. It's like, this is the big format you probably would see a deck like this in, just given the card pool, given the meta viable decks. So this is the one I went with. I went with a Fire Princess burn deck, and I use burn in these quotes, these little finger motions, because it's rather interesting. It's a burn deck that revolves around you gaining life points too. See, Fire Princess' whole strategy is that each time you gain life points, you inflict 500 damage to your opponent. So the process of the deck is that you want Fire Princess out, and you need certain cards that will gain you life points, as well as some sort of stall mechanic as well, because you need to protect your Fire Princess. And with cards like Janjo and Injection Fairy Lily and Bazoo and Gemini Elf running around, you're going to want some protection, is the gist of it. So this deck, it's not as clean as I usually like to make my decks, but from the tournament results, I think I did pretty well. I didn't make any toppings or anything like that, but I think in the games I did play, I think I used the deck fairly well. I think the main issue was that Dark Lord Marie, or at the time it was Marie the Fallen one, I kept drawing into it, which it wasn't very good. I think that comes down to luck, because I mean, it's only 3 cards. It's not like a search out otherwise. And Dark Lord Marie, you want in the graveyard because her effect is that once per turn, during your standby phase, you gain 200 life points. This card must be in the graveyard to activate and resolve this effect. So you can kind of see already the building blocks for the deck. So you have Fire Princess out, and then with 1, 2, 3 Maries in the graveyard, that's chain 1, chain 2, chain 3. So that's 600 life points turn you're gaining, plus that's 1500 points of damage your opponent is taking with Fire Princess. Now compile that among with Solemn Wishes, in which every time you draw a card, you gain 500 life points, which is good. Again, that's every time you gain life points. If you have 2 of these, that's 1,000 points of damage, and you're also gaining resources as well with Fire Princess. And there's plenty of cards you kind of search everything out. I mean, you have Morphing Jar, Cyber Jar, Sandgain, UFO Turtle, Witch of the Black Forest, UFO Turtle will actually get Fire Princess straight out from the deck, though it will be an attack position, so you're going to want Fire Princess defense position, because not only does it have higher defense, but you also wouldn't want to get Mirror Force. I mean, not like you're probably going to attack, but just in case. So then you also have Nimble Momonga, which when it's destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, you gain 1,000 life points, and you can summon 2 more. So again, that's more just burn damage. Magic Cylinder, burn damage, Ceasefire, burn damage, and you're gonna have stun cards like Gravity Bind, Messenger of Peace. But Painful Choice is very important in this deck because you're going to want to send at least 3 of your Dark Lord Maries to the graveyard. Now, most likely, your opponent's probably going to add 1 to your hand if they know what you're up to. That's also why you're running cards like Card Destruction, Graceful Charity, which is at 2 in this format, if you're unaware. Tribute to the Doomed, Magic Jammer, like there's plenty of cards in the deck to pitch cards. Now, this was my initial build. I'm sure it could be fixed up upon, be optimized, but I think I did pretty well with the deck. The thing with Android is that there's a lot of cards that are good cards that are limited, and there's plenty of other good cards in the format that we don't really need to run, like Confiscation or Forceful Sentry. But when it comes to cards like Call the Haunted and Premature, these are good because, again, you're going to want to make sure Fire Princess is on the field. This is a very protect the castle sort of deck, so if it gets into the graveyard, you're going to want ways to revive it just in case that you need to do so. Now, you could run other cards like a Third Messenger piece, you could run a Harpy's Feather Duster, or any other cards that you want. You could run a little bit more aggro cards just to have them, like Gemini Elf or Fair Lily, because you are going to have the life points to attack with it. You certainly aren't going to want to run Janjo, and Janjo would be a trouble because it's going to stop a lot of your stun traps. But again, with cards like Dark Hole, Raigeki, Tribute to the Doomed, you're going to have some destruction in there. If you want to run more, if you want to swap that out with like a Fissure, I suppose you could run some Magician of Faiths if you wanted. I'm just throwing out options in case you want to build and improve upon this deck. And if you do, definitely post it in my Discord. Join the Spice Rack today. I really like the Fire Princess. It's not my favorite deck of the Android format. There's other decks I like to showcase in the future. Maybe I'll do like a spicy deck video or another like 101 video. I end up doing more of those. But it's a really interesting burn deck in a format that there's not a ton of heavily variety decks like a goat format or as crazy as a critter format. It's definitely like a middle ground sort of format. Not to say it's boring or anything, but it's just in the sense of like the card pool is interesting. And that's why I like about a lot of these older formats, that apart from goat and a couple other very specific formats of yesteryear, it's rather untapped. There's a lot of just potential in the format. There's a lot of fun to be had, a lot of information to be spread, and love to be given. So let me know what you think about the Fire Princess deck. Is this a deck that you'd like to try out? Is this a deck that you have played? Definitely let me know in the comments and what you'd like to see for future deck profiles. And until I see you all next time, have a wonderful day.
My grandpa's deck has no pathetic cards, Kaiba.